People over 40 don't stay because they feel something. They stay because leaving costs more psychologically than staying numb. If you strip away the romantic excuses, what you're looking at is a system of defenses that has been built for decades. By that age, a person isn't just in a relationship, they're structurally tied to it. Identity, routine, finances, social image, even their sense of time. Let's go deeper. First, the illusion of investment. This is the same mechanism behind the sunk cost fallacy, but in relationships, it becomes dangerous. People think, I gave 20 years, I can't just walk away. That's irrational. The 20 years are gone anyway. But leaving forces a brutal conclusion. I built my life on something that didn't work. Most people would rather stay in emotional deadness than face that level of self-confrontation. Second, identity collapse. At 25, leaving is disruption. At 45, leaving is demolition. You're no longer just you, you're a role. Husband, wife, provider, parent, stable adult. Take away the relationship, and a lot of people realize there's nothing clearly defined underneath. So they don't just fear loneliness, they fear not knowing who they are. Third, fear of the marketplace. Let's be honest, dating after 40 feels like re-entering competition with less perceived advantage. Aging, insecurities, past emotional damage, all of that stacks. People start believing they're no longer desirable or adaptable. So they settle into a quiet deal with themselves. This isn't good, but it's safer than risking rejection again. Fourth, neurological conditioning. Long-term relationships literally train your brain. Same house, same person, same patterns, your nervous system stabilizes around it, even if it's cold or empty. Breaking that isn't just emotional, it's physiological withdrawal. That's why people confuse familiarity with attachment. It's not always love, often it's dependency. Fifth, practical entanglement. Shared assets, kids, routines, social circles. Leaving isn't just ending a relationship, it's restructuring an entire life system. And most people don't have the energy or clarity to rebuild from scratch, especially if they're already tired or burned out. Sixth, fear of real loneliness. Not the Instagram version, the actual one. Silence at home, no one to call, no one to witness your life. After 40, this hits harder because time feels more finite. People start thinking in terms of, what if this is it? Seventh, social narrative pressure. You've been together so long. At this age, people don't start over. You'll regret it. These aren't just comments, they become internalized scripts. And people begin to measure their decisions against how they'll be judged, not how they actually feel. Eighth, emotional atrophy. This is the part no one wants to admit. If you stay long enough in a relationship without real connection, you don't just lose feelings for your partner, you lose access to your own emotional range. Eighth, emotional atrophy. You stop expecting depth, passion, meaning. You normalize emptiness. And once that becomes your baseline, leaving doesn't even feel like a path to something better. It just feels like losing structure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. After 40, staying is often not a conscious choice. It's passive surrender. People don't wake up and decide, I want a lifeless relationship. They slowly adapt to less, justify more, and shrink their expectations until the situation becomes tolerable. Leaving requires the opposite direction, expansion. And expansion hurts. Because to leave, you have to admit that what you have is not enough. Take responsibility for staying too long. Face uncertainty without guarantees. Risk ending up alone anyway. That's a brutal equation. Most people don't take it. So no, it's not about love fading and people being weak. It's about psychological inertia being stronger than the desire for something real. People don't stay because they still feel something. They stay because they've trained themselves not to need anything more.